Right, so grapple combos in general are one of the most important things about Naraka because they're not the most basic of combos, but they're also pretty standard and they're the staple combos of the game. You do kind of want to learn them, and the majority of weapons do have them. The only weapons that don't have grapple combos or like their own grapple combos, and when I say their own grapple combos, I mean a combo that a weapon can do without the need to swap from a different weapon. So, for example, Greatsword does not have a grapple combo on its own. However, if you start it by using a katana uppercut into grapple cancel, or spear or longsword, whatever, you can use it within a grapple combo. But the main premise behind grapple comboing is the idea that you can cancel an animation by activating your grapple. So by the default bind on PC being Q, it gives you this ADS, and then you click to turn out the grapple. Depending on your settings, you can adjust them, but typically this is the default thing. So what you can do with grapples is you can cancel a lot of animations in the game, and that includes an uppercut. So when you do a combo start attack, for katana it's horizontal, and then you do an uppercut, the uppercut animation is quite long, right? And if you were to try and do the uppercut into a focus attack, the person would be able to get up off the ground before your focus attack hit them in pretty much every scenario. However, with the grapple, when you uppercut and you use the grapple as the uppercut happens, it cancels the animation by a lot, or it shortens it considerably. So this is the premise behind grapple combos, and it allows you to do things like this, which is very efficient when it comes to damage in a combo. If you weren't to use this combo, then one of the other basic light attack combos for katana, for example, would be uppercut, vertical, or something like vertical, vertical, crouching horizontal, jumping horizontal, like this. But this isn't as damaging, as you can see if I test it. 990 damage. Whereas with a grapple combo, you're getting a considerable amount more damage. 1,312 damage instead. So learning these is pretty useful. For katana, your typical one that you want to be doing is, you can do this, you can do two horizontals. Horizontal, press and hold dodge, and then another horizontal into an uppercut. So the total damage is going to end up being 1,430 damage. And this is obviously with a golden weapon against a bot that has no jades, but still. And the premise behind this here, so when you get the grapple, you want to be pressing the grapple and releasing the grapple as quickly as possible. That used to be the case that you had to be careful not to do it too quickly, because otherwise the actual the uppercut's animation would be cancelled and it wouldn't come through and uppercut the person. However, they changed it so that now you don't have to worry about that, and you can just press the grapple activation as immediately after you press the uppercut input. So uppercut into immediate grapple button, click, and then as you're flying through the air, you want to allow yourself to hit the target without pressing anything. And one of the, usually, or before, when we had to do these, a lot of the time you would be better off pressing A as in left, or D as in right, or even S as in backwards. The one that you never want to be pressing in terms of directions is W, because if you press W when you do this, you'll hit them, and then you will roll forwards. And this would then mean that your grapple combo would fail. You wouldn't be able to start holding the blue focus in time to actually get it confirmed on the person you're comboing. But the thing is, now, again, they've changed things over time. You don't actually have to press a single directional key whatsoever during your grapple combo the majority of the time, at least not for these basic ones. Which means that, basically, you can take your hand off of the keyboard, whoops, and do the grapple combo. You see? And I can only do that because I have crouch on keyboard and my mouse, so, yeah. You get my point. you don't want to be pressing any of the directional keys. Otherwise, you're likely going to be creating room for error. Another thing that's really important to note is that grapple combos, although they are pretty, it's hard to fail them. Another way that people end up dropping these combos is when they charge the focus attack too long. So when it comes to focus attacks, there's different stages of release. If you watch my character here, when I charge this focus attack, you hear that sound. And you see a small flash of light as well, which indicates that the first stage of the focus attack is charged and ready to be released. And then you can release it at any point after that. And you can also charge up some focus attacks to a second stage. But when doing grapple combos, you typically don't want to be charging more than the first stage. In fact, you actually want to be doing something that's called, that's referred to as a 0.9. And this, if you ever hear someone refer to a focus attack or something as a 0.9, it means that it's not actually you holding the focus attack and releasing it once it's charged. You're releasing the focus attack as it's charged. Not once it's charged, but as it is charged. So the difference being that instead of waiting for that slight flash of light and for that sound cue, you're releasing the focus attack the moment that it gets to that point. You're releasing it literally on the frame that it becomes ready, as opposed to once it is already ready to release, if that makes sense. This is what's referred to as a 0.9 focus attack. And every weapon can release 0.9 focus attacks. However, different weapons and different focus attacks have different charge times. It's a pretty small difference, but there is a difference. So for example, Katana vertical blue focus 0.9 is extremely fast, whereas Greatsword's horizontal 0.9 is not as quick. You can see that there is a very slight time difference in how long it takes to charge this focus attack. And I'm trying to release this as a 0.9, whereas Katana, it is slightly faster, and that small time difference means the difference as to whether or not your combo is going to work or whether it's not. So, one very important thing though is that when it comes to grapple combos, there are a couple weapons that are a little bit more forgiving, and Katana is actually one of them, along with Hangsword, in that if you don't get the perfect 0.9 release timing and you release it at 1.0, which is what people typically call when you release the focus attack as it's charged, you will still get away with it. It will still hit, it will still confirm, most of the time. However, there are certain weapons that if you don't do a 0.9 focus release and you do a 1.0, then the person that you're comboing is likely going to be able to get up off the floor or potentially use a soft combo breaker, an ability that doesn't necessarily have to be a combo breaker being an ability that you can use while being staggered, but a soft combo breaker, an ability that you can't use under stagger, but you can use it in between certain frames, as it has a focus armor built into the startup of it. So for example, Taka has a soft combo breaker on his F ability. Taka typically will be able to use this F ability in certain situations where the combo that he's being hit by is not technically a true combo. Now, back to the thing I was saying, the weapons that, unless you do a 0.9 focus attack, may not actually land and may not confirm the focus attack are dual halberds. Dual halberds is one of these weapons that, unless you do a 0.9 focus attack, it's not going to land. And you can tell that this is the case by changing the bot to the combo mode. So you go to combo training here, no disengage, and then activate it by checking this combat mode button. I'll grapple combo, and if I charge it to 1.0 and then release, you can see that the bot is able to roll off the ground and get up in time to avoid the focus attack. However, if I do a 0.9 focus, he cannot. So this is the important thing that you need to remember, depending on the weapon, or one of the important things rather, that you need to remember when using different weapons as to whether or not you need to be very precise with your 0.9 release off of a grapple combo. However, at the end of the day, you can try and like min-max and say, oh, I don't have to be as precise with this weapon because it's going to work most of the time anyway. But at the end of the day, it's usually better practice to always try your best to release your focus attack off of a grapple combo as a 0.9 focus. It's always good practice to do, as in those situations where it's, you know, it's an intense fight, you know, there's a lot going on, it's usually better to be in the habit of using the most optimal combos in the most optimal way to secure the damage that you want to do. Because if you're in a 1 HP situation, you need to make sure that your combo hits, otherwise you're gonna die. And now, just to quickly finish it off, there are a couple weapons, as I said earlier, that cannot do grapple combos. Fist blades cannot do a grapple combo. However, as I say that, you can do it if you have this new Jade called Sky Punch. You can do this grapple combo. But realistically, it's not actually worth it unless you're going to be swapping into a different weapon. You can do this. It's not really worth it, though, unless you're going to do this. So you can do this grapple, right? And you have to grapple a little bit far forwards because of the distance at which the Jade puts the uppercut puts the target. And you can swap to something like Greatsword and do a focus attack. Like this. It's a very damaging combo, you know. Typically with Sky Punch, instead of that, you want to be doing something like this instead. It's a little bit more optimal, and also, if you don't have a Greatsword or something like that, then this is what you want to be doing anyway. But back to Greatsword, again, there are weapons and combos that you can do by swapping to other weapons. So, for example, Longsword's grapple combo, which is this, does not do all that much damage. As you can see, 1044 damage. Not very damaging, especially considering that we saw that Katana can do quite a bit more damage with that grapple combo. So Longsword, you can obviously try and do this instead. You swap to Greatsword and you do the focus attack. It's going to be doing a lot more damage. And if you're looking to min-max and you're looking to be as optimal as possible, you can do this sort of thing. As it can save you, you know, like if the focus attack or if the combo that you're going to do to a player needs to damage them like just enough so that they do die, and doing the regular grapple combo is not going to do that, you can do a swap like this and it might help you. There is a whole other, you know, like talk about weapon swaps in general, and certain weapon swaps that personally I don't think should be in the game, like dual blades and katana, being able to swap after doing a vertical light attack into a horizontal into an uppercut. This is outrageous, I'm not gonna lie. I don't like this. There is a certain level of weapon swap that I'm okay with, and typically that's doing something like this, you know, where you're not necessarily creating an opening for yourself, essentially breaking some of the fundamental rules of the game, which you kind of are doing by doing dual blades katana weapon swap, as you're still like creating an opening with the weapon that you're using. It's just that you're doing a little bit more damage by swapping mid combo to maximize it. And at the end of the day, it's not that much more, but it can sometimes make the difference. But other than that, that's pretty much it, chat.